Scary. I'm actually a little still scared of the sea. Have you guys ever been in the deep end of a pool and thought for a second that there are sharks in there?
Yes.
All the time. I am 25 years old, and I'll be swimming in the deep end like, oh, gotta get out of here. But there's a place, a fear that you're scared too, Joshua. That's because you're my friend. But the sea represented total chaos. You know, chaos is a huge part of our lives, even now. Chaos still goes on today. There's fear and death, disaster that struck us all at some point or another. I've been a youth pastor for 3.5 years, and I've seen a lot of chaos. I've met young people, teenage moms. I've seen my students get left on the street to be homeless. I've met drug addicts. I've met middle schoolers who were the victims of bullies and it drove them to insanity. And I've met the cool kids who everyone thinks has it all together, but inside they're so lonely and they're so scared. This is our Black Sea. Our fears, our loneliness. This is the chaos that they would think of when they thought of the Black Sea. You know, if all we saw, and if all we knew when we looked around were the Black Sea, life would feel really, really hopeless, wouldn't it? Have you ever seen that movie, Open Water? Oh my goodness, I haven't. Because I'm too scared. But it's about these people that get left out in the middle of the ocean. By their snorkeling boat, they have no resources, nothing. They can't swim back, and they're just left floating there in the water. Can you imagine that feeling? Looking around and only seeing the sea, not knowing what's underneath you, not knowing if you're going to make it out of there. Guess what? You kind of do. Because we've all felt that way before. We've all felt like there was no way out, we could see no end to something happening, or like we were just going to just die. I felt that way at least. That's the Black Sea. But God reveals something else. As he's been pulling back curtain after curtain and saying, this is what you see, but here really this is the reality, see. That when he looks at the Black Sea, he reveals something else. Because it says that God sits on a throne on top of a glassy sea. A glassy sea. You can see clear to the bottom, and it's stable enough that it can hold God's throne. What do you think that means? Who said that? What did you say, Austin?
He controls the sea.
God, I need a high five for that one. God controls the sea. Even the scariest place imaginable in the ancient world, it was revealed that God is in control of the sea. You know what that translates into? God is simply in control. This chaos that we see, the fear that we may have, the blackness, Revelation says that may be what you see, but that is not what God sees. Because when you pull back the curtain, God is actually in control. And guess what?
What?
God will never, ever, ever, ever leave you alone, Jake. God will never, ever, ever leave you in the middle of the ocean with no resources, with no way out. God will never do that. Ever. You know, this was a really powerful message for the early church. For Christians that were dying and didn't see a way out. This was really powerful because it meant that even though they saw chaos, even though they didn't even know if they were going to make it, God was still in control. I feel like this is an important message for us too. When you feel alone, when you feel like there's no way out, passage. Remember those elders that were sitting around the throne? And they have those wreaths on their heads, and they earned those wreaths because they suffered for those wreaths. They earned every single golden leaf. It says that they bend down. In fact, it says that they lie prostrate. Do you know what that means? It means that they did this. They lied face down at the feet of God. And it says they took their wreaths, their crowns, and they throw them at the feet of Jesus and say, you are worthy. That was a hard image for me to swallow when I first heard it. It's like, I earned this wreath. These people died. They suffered for God. And then they go to God and they say, this thing that I earned because I died for you, my life, everything I was, everything I am, I'm going to put it at your feet because you are worthy, because you are holy. You may be thinking, Sarah, first of all, thanks for another crazy story. Right? You love the craziness. But you're also thinking, what does this have to do with community? Chaos and order. What does this all have to do with community? The body. That's cool. Thank you. You know, God didn't just create you to be in community with each other, which He loves, and you were created for. But God also created you so that you could be in community with Him. God sacrificed everything He was, His only Son, who suffered and died, as we talked about yesterday, became a servant. He sacrificed His only Son. There's no other way to say it. He sacrificed His Son because He wanted to be in community with you, individually, communally. And what does that community consist of? When you enter into the community of God, what does that mean? It means that you're never alone. Yay. Jake. Yay. I mean, really, it's more like a yay! Thank you, Jesus. It really is. Never, ever alone when you enter into that community. So when you guys feel the burden, chaos, when you guys are getting bullied, maybe when family isn't going the way that you want it to, when you feel unloved, when you're scared of the people that you should be closest to, when you feel like there's no way out and all you see is a black sea waiting to just swallow you whole, I want you to remember that that is not reality. Bad things happen. Man, they happen all the time. But that does not mean that God is not in control. God controls the glassy sea. That's funny. I want to give you guys one glimpse of hope. And this is my favorite verses in all the Bible. Because the next couple of chapters after we read this, it shows all the people of all the earth, every tribe, every tongue, every nation, every person gathered before God. And what does God say to them? These people that have suffered, that have laid down their wreaths in front of Him. He says, never again will they hunger. Never again will they thirst. The sun will not beat down upon them, nor any scorching heat. For the Lamb at the center of the throne will be their shepherd. He will lead them to springs of living water. And this is the coolest part. And God will wipe away, say with me, every tear from their eyes. You know, that means that God will physically take His hand, Grace, and I won't touch you because my hands are dirty, and wipe away your tears. The finger of God will come and wipe away your tears. That is the hope that you guys have when you enter into the community of God. If that is the hope that you have, if God has already conquered death, if God promises never to leave you or to forsake you, what is there to fear, really? Doesn't mean life's not scary, but what is there to fear? Those wreaths that you have, fear itself. Good. Those wreaths that you guys have, that you guys spend this morning working on, they represent your lives. I asked you to write one word that describes the different moments in your lives. Whether they're like big, sad moments, whether they're great moments. These represent the all of who you were and who you are. Now here's the thing, guys, we're all coming from different places. Some of you guys are in a great place, and you're like, I'm loving life, and I'm loving God. Some of you guys are scared. Some of you guys are sad. Some of you guys are in bad situations. Some of you guys have never really even accepted Jesus because you can kind of just get by. You're all coming from different places. But whatever that is, and I want you to think for a second about where you are and who you are in this moment. Channel that image into the wreath that you have on your head. I see you all putting them on. I like that. Channel that image into the wreath that you have on your head. In a moment, what we're going to do is I want you guys to write a letter to God. I know the counselors, or staff, go back. There's paper and pencils in the back, and they're going to hand it out to you. And I want you guys, listen up, because I want you to hear what you're doing. I want you guys to write a letter to God about where you are. And here's the only thing I ask. Listen up. This is the only thing I ask. Is that you be totally honest about it. About where you are. Because God already knows anyways, right? Be totally honest. Yeah.
Where you are in life.
Where you are in your faith with God. Where you are in life. Right now, I'll give you an example. This is me, guys. I'm going to be real with you. I'm really scared right now. I got to go to Korea in the fall, and I've never been there. And I've never been that far away from home. And I have to stay there for a whole year, and I am terrified about what that means. But I'm trusting that God has everything in control. And what I'm asking you to do is write a letter to God saying, Dear God, this is where I'm at. I just want you to know where I'm at. And then what we're going to do is take those letters and take those wreaths that represent what? Your life, yourself, your whole being. You're going to take those, and just like the elders did when they came into the throne room of God, I'm going to ask that you guys lay them down here at the cross. Your letters and your wreaths, you're going to come up right here and lay them at the cross. Yes, Sam?
Put the letters face down.
Yes, you can put your letters face down. Thank you for asking, Sam. And remember, you guys, what you're asking from God is that He be present with you in the moment that you are at. For some of you might be asking for a challenge. Maybe you want to take a next step. Maybe you want to be in a different place, and you're asking God for help. Maybe you're just thanking God that you're in a great place. Whatever it is, this is what you're doing. This is your moment to be real with God and to enter into something cool. So when you guys are done, we're going to be playing some music. And when you guys are done writing your letters, make your way up the stage. Place them before the cross with your wreath. And what I want you guys to do, if you want, the counselors, all of your counselors are going to be lining around this cat, okay? And if you want to pray with them, go and pray with them. If you don't want to pray with the counselor out loud and you want just to write a prayer, go in the back and write a prayer. There's a spot that nobody reads and a spot that some people will read. Or you can go and paint on the banner. So now I'm going to ask that Peter come on up.